another topic is the baseball off season and free agency, and things are getting absolutely insane. The size of the contracts per year going up, the numbers are crazy, but that's not to be surprised by. It's
Right.
going to keep going up, and it's going to keep going up in the future. The length of the contracts now is really getting to be something. Let me give you a little preview of some of the contracts signed this offseason. The Giants signed Carlos Correa, shortstop, 13 years, $350 million. Xander Bogaerts, 11 years, $280 million. Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million. Carlos Rodon, first pitcher on this list, I should add. Long pitcher contracts are far more dangerous.
Right.
6 years, $162 million.
Wow.
Brandon Nemo, 8 years, $162 million. And just signed over the weekend, Dansby Swanson by the Dodgers, 7 years, $177 million. It used to be, I mean, we had some in the last year or two as well, these longer contracts. 13 for Correa is the longest in history. You used to never see anything beyond like 7 years, other than occasional blips that happened, monster contracts. Mike Trout got a 10-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
Albert Pujols got a long deal that sure became a disaster for the Angels.
Right.
So the per year is a lot, but I will say on some of these deals, let's say Carlos Correa, his per year total in 8-9 years from now isn't going to look that crazy because it's going to keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks insane right now,
Yeah.
but you're kind of getting some better value down the road. But for him, he gets the security of locking in the monster deal, done and done. And I think what we're going to see now, the strategy of some of these long contracts is it's great for the players. It's a risk for the team for sure, but it's also seeming to be, and this has been called out recently, a way for teams to get around some luxury tax issues.
You could structure it differently, right?
Well, and you have it structured with some of it at guaranteed years later on, though, knowing that the cap is going to continue to go up.
Right.
And you throw it out ahead of time and you can manipulate that. So I think what we're going to see, although it's going to be a major issue with a, contract bargaining agreement, at some point there might be a yearly cap imposed.
Cap on it, yeah.
No more than, I don't know what they would say to that, 8. I don't know if it would ever happen.
Yeah.
They have been around a while. The Giants, this isn't the first time they've done it. They gave Buster Posey a 10-year deal a long time ago. People were like, 10 years? They had just won a World Series. They ended up winning 2 more during that contract.
Yeah.
And I think it worked out pretty well.
Yeah.
So, and that's a catcher too. That's a catcher, which is a rough position on your body.
Yeah, he's an all-time great.
Yeah. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see if this continues to go on as a trend.
Yeah.
The long contracts for a pitcher seem crazy. Rodon, who was excellent for the Giants last year, did previous to that, we signed him on a 2-year deal with the second year being the player option, which of course he pitched great last year. So he opts out and gets his money. Yeah. But giving those long contracts to pitchers is crazy. I think
absolutely
that's totally crazy.
Right.
And that's why you're starting to see with some of the older pitchers, they'll get big annual money, but they'll be like 2 years. Like we just saw with Verlander,
Right.
DeGrom just got a big deal too.
Yeah.
All MLB contracts are fully guaranteed.
Okay.
Just like in the NBA, it's really only the NFL where they can cut guys loose and not pay out the rest of the contract, which is kind of insane because the NFL, you're the most likely to get hurt. I hate that when guys get hurt and then they get cut.
Yeah.
It's so gross.
Yeah.
And the NFL makes the most money too. And the contracts aren't fully guaranteed. Like if any sport, they should have fully guaranteed contracts. It's the NFL and they're the one that don't.
Right. Yeah, it's just the 13 years. I don't know, something about that. Like so much can go wrong. Anything could go wrong. You know what I mean? And you're paying all that money out, guaranteed. It's a big risk. I mean, I understand they probably did that because there was probably other teams, trying to go after his services, and you throw a huge contract like that out there. maybe other teams didn't want to do it, but it's definitely a gamble, definitely a risk. So
yeah, I mean, to put that in perspective, my 8-year-old daughter, she will be a junior in college when his contract is up.
Right.
She's currently in the 3rd grade.
Yeah. So that's a long one.
Yeah.
My goodness.
I'm 43, so I will be 56 years old when that contract is up.
Yeah. I think I'm a year behind you. That's scary to think about. Wow.
So we'll see.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, that's the market. And for some of these guys, and that's what you have to do. The Giants had to do that. Yeah. And, same deal with the big money for Judge.
Well, I was going to say,
originally the Yankees had offered Judge only $230 million before the season. And then they ended up paying $360 million. They're probably regretting not just offering him like $280 before the season started.
Yeah, right. Exactly. He probably felt
another one
with that. Yeah.
Correa will be 40 when it's over. Judge will be 40. Correa's a little younger, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Judge will be 40 when it's over.
Yeah.
Not a lot of 40-year-olds in baseball, although with all the nutrition and science and all that stuff, guys are lasting longer. We're seeing it in every sport.
Right. Yeah, you just don't want it to be, the guy is unplayable, right? Or the guy is, so broken down that he can't fulfill the end of that contract. 13 years is a ton of time. Like, it's unbelievable.
Well, like I said, the Albert Pujols contract was an absolute disaster.
Yeah, and that was only, 10 years?
Yeah, only
10 years, right? Well, only, but
to the point that they actually cut him at the end.
Wow.
And then he went to St. Louis, and what's painful about that? If you're an Angels fan, every single year of the 9 years, his OPS was lower than all of his other seasons prior to it.
Wow.
So he underperformed the entire contract. Then he goes back to St. Louis after they cut him loose,
and he was good again.
He wasn't good, but he was better. He posted a higher OPS this final season than he did his entire tenure with the Angels.
Ooh,
that is rough. Poor Mike Trout. One of the all-time great players, just wasting away in Anaheim.
Oof, yeah.
I mean, it was his choice to sign that big contract.
It was. I would say he should come up the coast and
if you're
from the Giants,
if you're Ohtani. And they still haven't traded him or anything, and he's going to be a free agent after next year, which is interesting. You're seeing how Mike Trout has been wasted by that organization. Do you really want to stick around?
Right. Exactly.
The Angels should be smart, and they're not, and trade him and get some pieces, some youth.
Because he'll leave for nothing.
Because he's going to leave for nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's smart.
Wow.